Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go.
Lucid.
Feel bad for the Lakers.
Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated, and fanboys come out to play. Man, I have a fun episode that I'm going to produce today. In this episode, I'm going to keep it real. I literally, on the heels of having produced a episode where I gave the Lakers extreme praise for, potentially being a team, where the future is now, as an indication of what's been happening, or based on what has been happening with the team, and also, what the future looks like by having Luka Doncic as a Laker or in a Laker uniform. I kept it the most clean. I've been dubbed as a Laker hate channel. I don't hate the Lakers. I just like to keep it real. With the Lakers being the most talked about team in the NBA, I'm going to talk about them too. Mainstream media loves to talk about them. People in the independent media space love to talk about them. Laker fans love to brag about them. So I'm going to give them that work today. The words of the great philosopher Loaded Lux. You're going to get this work. You're going to get this work today. So before I dive into the content, if you've already seen the thumbnail, you know exactly what direction we're headed into. Do me a huge favor, like the video. Liking the video helps us cruise along algorithm avenue, helps this kind of content get it to the presence of individuals just like yourself who might be looking for this kind of content. Also helps, others to, get a glimpse of it or get wind of it. Subscribe to the channel also. Subscribe to the channel helps you stay in the loop as to when content is produced. Clicking that notification bell gets you notified immediately. Without further ado, I'm diving all over this content. Today's episode I'm going to entitle Rook Buzelis Bulls Punish Luka Bron Lakers by 31 points. The Bulls beat the goddamn stuffing out of the Lakers last night. LeBron James returned from injury as well, from this growing pull, strain, whatever it was. LeBron James decides to make his debut. If you remember from the episode that I produced, which was the Lakers and NBA script, kind of being exposed, I projected a return date for LeBron and their opponent being the Bulls. Now, I knew from looking at the schedule at the time that the Lakers saw the Bulls on a Saturday night, and then they turned around a few games later, 3 games later, and they would see them on a Thursday night. That Thursday is this upcoming Thursday. And so I projected that LeBron would actually return in that game versus the Bulls versus all the other competition, because the Bulls seem like a better team to return against to try to get your sea legs under you. I was wrong about when, he would return by just 3 games now, but I was right about the Bulls. So I do want to dive into what happened last night. But before I do that, I want to take this opportunity also to mention that, I know what all of you guys are going to try to do, Laker fans and some of the others who are just Lakers apologists, etc., are going to say,
well, we hurt. We were injured. We were a little banged up. You know what I'm saying? And that was, what do you expect? You know what I mean? Like when the team's not whole, we got.
First graphic that I want to take a look at comes from SportsNet, the SportsNet app. And prior to the game starting last night, they announced the injury report for the LA Lakers. Everybody who's been injured, banged up, nicked up was actually available for last night's game. Let's go down the list here. You can see it on the screen. Dorian Finney-Smith was available last night. He had left ankle injury. Jarrett Vanderbilt returned. His right groin bothering him as well. Luka Doncic sat out the last game with a right ankle. Rui Hachimura finally returned, having strained or what have you his left patella and his knee. Austin Reeves with his right ankle, he sat out the game prior as well. Gabe Vincent left knee issues. He played last night, also was available for last night's game. And so was one LeBron James with his left growing issue. So I don't want to hear no, my neighbor hurt.
Oh, well, we won the whole team. Yeah, the boys got.
Nope. That's not what happened. What happened is the Bulls showed up to play basketball and they beat the shit out of a basketball team, a professional basketball team. So what I want to do is I want to get into an article from the Associated Press that was released literally after the game was over last night, and we're diving into that content here. That article was penned by Greg Beecham, and it is entitled LeBron James's return from injury spoiled by Bulls' phenomenal effort in 146-115 win over the Lakers. 146-115.
Damn.
Los Angeles Associated Press. Kobe White scored 36 points. Josh Giddey flirted with a quadruple double, and the Chicago Bulls wrecked LeBron James's return from injury with an impressive 146-115 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday night. Luka Doncic scored 29 points of his 34 points in the first half and hit 8 3-pointers, while James had 17 points after a 7-game absence. I want you guys to literally file away in your brain for me really quickly that Luka Doncic scored 29 points in the first half, and he only scored 34 points for the game, which means by simple mathematics, Luka Doncic only scored 5 additional points in the entire second half. Keep that 29 point or the bulk of that 34 points being scored in the first half, because fuck it, I'm not even gonna wait. There's a thing that was happening in Dallas that I noticed in Dallas, and now getting a chance to see Luka in a Laker uniform, I'm realizing that it's happening with the Lakers as well. Luka gets off to fast starts. And those games I was seeing, he had like 25 points in the first half or 27 points in the first half. Man, if you were playing like gambling on the games and doing the stats, man, Luka will be good on your parlay early. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, Luka's a lock for the 27 over 27 and stuff like that. He would just be a lock for it. I would never be concerned when I had Luka on my parlay if I was gambling. But in the reality of what happens when you're playing a basketball game is that, man, when a player gets off, as in Luka, structured with the team in Dallas, he gets off to a fast start. It helps to build a bit of cushion. The hope is that his outburst offensively helps to give you enough cushion by the half that, you really don't have to play, exceptionally well in the second half as a team in order to sustain the little cushion that Luka's outburst helped to give you. Go about 20 points. 20 points can be erased really, really quickly in this NBA. But if your team comes out in the second half and plays relative to the opponent that you're facing, then, man, you should probably be able to squeak out of there with like a 7-8 point victory. The same exact thing I'm noticing is happening with Luka in a Laker uniform. And you could think I'm making this up if you want, but you can go back and look at previous games where he's scoring 23 points, 21 points in the first quarter, 25 points in the first half, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the Lakers, in some of those games, they end up squeaking out victories. In some of those games, they actually end up losing. So, man, Luka needs more help. That's a narrative I'm going to start today. Luka needs more help, bro. Back to the article. Neither superstar, which I've highlighted here, neither superstar could do a thing to slow the Bulls, who scorched Los Angeles. Normally sturdy defense on the way to their 7th win in 9 games. Chicago's 146 points were 12 more than the Lakers had allowed in any game this season. Matas Buzeles, rookie Matas Buzeles, the 11th overall pick in the 2024 draft, the same draft that Bronny James was in. Rookie Matas Buzeles scored 31 points for Chicago, and Giddey recorded 15 points, 17 assists, 10 rebounds, and 8 steals. White was dominant while hitting 6 3-pointers and 8 Bulls scored at least 9 points on the fifth stop of a 6-game road trip. Now you can see in this graphic, I kind of highlighted a couple things that I wanted to point out for emphasis. I like when people use words, and I like to give context to words being used. There's a reason. There is a reason. Neither superstar, I highlighted their superstar, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, are the superstars being spoken of and to give context to the words being used in this article. Neither of them could do a thing to slow the Bulls. Neither superstar. Now, why did I want to highlight that? Because none of you load it up in the comment section if you so desire, can identify a superstar on the roster of the Chicago Bulls. They do not have one. They do not have a superstar player on that roster. The other thing that I highlighted from the article that I read, or the portion of the article that I read so far, is who scorched the Bulls, who scorched the Lakers' normally sturdy defense. I appreciate the author of this article for stating a reality. They're normally sturdy defense. While folks in the mainstream media on television specifically and Laker praise channels have been doing all this, the Lakers defense, making their defense, even though it was a good defense, I've given them credit for their tenacity on defense, but making that defense just lights out, sturdy, they can shut down anybody kind of a defense, and it's just not reality. They started to play better defense than they had played all season long, which stands to reason why some people be like, man, they're playing much better defense. This is the kind of defensive output that they would need in order to make noise long term. I highlighted as much in the last video where I was giving and tipping my hat to the Lakers, giving them their credit. But normally sturdy defense. It's not like, some shutdown, lockdown defense, man. It's like, come on. So I appreciate the author, for saying that. And the Matas Boots LS, man, literally as a rookie, 31 points, man, dropped against this team. So I highlighted this because just 2 games ago, or just a game ago, versus the Milwaukee Bucks, Bronny James, rookie, Bronny James, the rookie, Bronny James.
You're proud the number 55 overall, Q. Relax.
Well, yeah, I ain't stopped y'all from being like,
yeah, Bronny has 17, a career high. Isn't that great? You guys owe him an apology.
Fuck, what do we owe him an apology for? That 17-point outburst was no different than what he, through his struggles in the California Classic and then into Summer League, looked like when he finally in Summer League had a good game.
Hoop hoop hooray! Hoop hoop hooray for Bronny! He finally had a good game! Bronny!
Like, finally had a good game, one good game. It's not enough to erase all the other poor showings. It's like, you did cool, you did good. He was averaging like 0.8 points a game, 1.2 points a game or something prior to that 17-point outburst. Now it has him averaging like 2.6 points a game. Damn, that dude is an NBA player, ain't he? But anyway, I highlighted that not to shit on Bronny, but mostly to shit on the perspective of a lot of you people that are these I don't give a fuck if it was the facility, first take, Stephen A. Smith backtrack, first take it was, and first things first, of course, Nick Wright and the bunch. Yeah, well, Bronny apologies. This is what we were saying. Yada, 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 yada. Against Giannis played, sure did. Kyle Kuzma and those guys were out there, sure were. The game was out of reach. It was a blowout. Bronny played significant minutes in that game, but it was a blowout. It's a blowout. The Lakers themselves only scored 89 points in the whole game. Without Bronny's 17-point outburst, my math tells me that's just 72 points that the rest of the Lakers team would have been able to score that night. Good thing Bronny did have his best scoring performance of the season. The Lakers would have, without Bronny's 17-point contribution, probably scored the least amount of points they've scored all season. So good thing Bronny wasn't on some G League trip where he belongs. But anyway, I do that to contrast that Matas Bucelas scored 31 points against superstars. Against superstars, your king and the new king of LA and the new leader of the LA Lucas. He scored 31 points in a winning effort. In a winning effort. Man, that 31 points is real. That's a real 31. That's a meaningful 31. That kid dropped 31 points that helped to contribute to him beating a superstar, top heavy team in the LA Lakers. Oh, send the kitty loving Josh Giddey, and you get 15 points, 17 assists, 10 rebounds, and 8 steals. They got a gem from OKC. As long as he can stay focused on the basketball court. Ladies, hide your kids. Fathers, hide your kids. Shout out to Kobe White for his 36 points in that game. I'm going to get back into the article. Austin Reeves scored 25 points for LA. Roy Hachimura made his own return from a 12-game absence with a knee injury, making the Lakers' roster largely whole. Largely whole. Well, that's why I showed you guys a graphic before we even jumped into this content. No, they were whole. Not largely whole. They were whole. They were whole last night, bro. I don't want to hear the excuses embedded in already. No, they were whole. They were whole. They just got the shit beat out of them. So if we're going to give them credit when they win, or we're going to talk about them when they lose. They got dog walk last night. Largely whole? No, whole. As a whole team, they got walked, mollywop, stomped on, got the shit beat out of them by the Bulls. The Bulls. The Bulls, man. But Los Angeles then played perhaps its worst defensive game. Certainly did. Bulls, one of their best performances of the season, particularly in their 5th road game in 8 nights while playing without injured star Trey Jones. But man, the Bulls weren't even whole. The Bulls weren't even whole. Their injured star player, or injured starter, Trey Jones, didn't even play in the game. It would have been worse if Trey would have played. I'm going to beat him by 50. Chicago is looking more like a postseason threat. Lakers, an exhausting 2 weeks ended discouragingly. James missed 2 weeks with a strained left groin, and Los Angeles clearly needs time to get back to its pre-injury form. Key moment. Reeves and Doncic kept it close through halftime, but White scored 12 points while Chicago steadily pulled away with a 39-point third quarter. This goes back to the statement that I made about Luka. This is where I was going to save that for, but now, since I've already talked about it, I'm going to tie it together now. Luka gets off to a fast start. Lakers help to create a bit of a cushion. The hope is let Luka go. Let him get off. Let him get into a rhythm early because he can't sustain it for 4 quarters. He can't sustain it for 4 quarters. He just can't. He wasn't that player in Dallas. He just can't sustain that output game in and game out for 4 straight quarters. And before any of you stupid motherfuckers jump in my comments like nobody can, that's a lie. It's a lie. Look at, who will probably be MVP at this point with his team having the best record in the league right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'll be damned if he doesn't bring it every quarter. He's averaging like 37 points a game in the month of March. It happens. It can happen. It does happen by a hired gun who's in great shape and who's able to get his shot however he wants it, whenever he wants it, and keep pressure on the defense, not just because he's shooting step back one leg threes and hoping that they go in. No knock on Luka. I like Luka. But they kept it close. Meaning Reeves and Doncic were able to help keep it close through halftime. But Chicago exploded on them with a 39-point third quarter.
Wow.
39 points they gave up defensively to a young team with young legs that likes to get up and down the court and run. On an old team, Luka out of shape is the knock. Who can get up and down the court and score? Austin can. Rui, can get out in transition if he's, you know what I mean, not laboring from that knee. But full team, any team that runs on those boys, on these Lakers, is at an advantage. Any team that can get up and down and just and control pace and get up and play a fast-paced game is a problem for the Lakers. That is truth. That is reality. That ain't me hating. That's the reality of the roster that they have. Key stat, Doncic scored at least 29 points for the 9th time in his last 11 games. Way to go, Luka. Up next, on Monday, the Bulls finished their trip in Denver, and the Lakers began a 4-game trip in Orlando. That's that article. So, again, to the point that I was making about young legs versus old team, aging with the dinosaur, La Dinosaur at 40 years old, the article says it's going to take him a little time to get up to, playing speed, that pre-injury playing form, playing speed, and that rhythm, right? Okay, stands to reason why that will be a premise. I don't even necessarily disagree with it. I want to get into the remaining schedule here to talk about it. Again, as mentioned, the Lakers take on the Magic on Monday. These are the remaining games in the month of March. They got the Lakers. They got Orlando on Monday. On Wednesday, they have the Pacers, a fast-paced team that loves to get up and down and run. That team on Monday also, led by Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and those boys, they like to run. They like to run. Those boys like to get up and down the court and run, 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 run. They got the Bulls again on Thursday, the game that I thought LeBron would come back for. But no. He's going to take on these running teams over the next couple of days. He's going to get three. They get 3 good runs in against these boys. And then they take on a young team in the Grizzlies and Ja Morant's Grizzlies. What is their style of play? They run. They run too. They push pace also. They're not a slow it down, half-court team, get into a bunch of pick and rolls so they can hopefully hit a bunch of threes. They like to get it off the rim and push it. They like to take it out the net, out of bounds, push it. They're pushing pace. And then come the following Monday, they're right up against, again, Houston Rockets. How does Houston play? You see a theme running here? It's reality. Let's get into the remaining games of the season for the month of April. The 7 games that are left on the schedule for the Lakers in the month of April, man. They got the Warriors. Warriors, they might be able to slow a little bit. You know what I mean? Even though the Warriors like to run too. And Jimmy's helping to push pace for them. And Jimmy's a alternative scorer for them as well. But, you know what I mean? They got another fast-paced team. Obviously, the Pels. And the Pels just getting them down the court running. Like the game that I went to see where the Suns honored one of my companies. They were playing the Pelicans. And then the Pelicans like to run. I saw it with my own eyes. I've seen it on TV, and I've seen it in person this season. They like to run. Well, we know what the Thunder like to do. The Thunder like to give it to you however they can give it to you, but especially pushing pace. Mavericks, that might be one of those games that's forfeited. It's the Luka returns to Dallas game. I think because it's been talked about for the last couple weeks that Dallas might have to forfeit some games. I think that might be the first time we've ever seen a game forfeited by an NBA team right there. That game versus the Lakers. I think that game right there. They're not even going to give, meaning they, when I say they, I mean the ownership group, Dumont and those folks in Dallas. They're not even going to give the fans time to be angry, rally, protesting, create all this buzz and hoopla, there's negativity, you know what I mean, cast amongst their team. I think they're just going to say, hey, man, like, that's the one we can't. We don't have enough personnel. We're just going to have to say nah to this one. So Lakers just might get we don't even got a play win. And they come right back and they have to face the Rockets. Oh, I'm sorry. The Rockets, who are presently sitting at number 2 in the West. Those Rockets. You know what I'm saying? Those Rockets. Those kids are playing good, man. And then they come back and they play the Trailblazers to close the year, which isn't necessarily an automatic win. Portland's not an automatic win. I want to get into the standings, and I'll explain to you why. Oklahoma City presently in the West sits at number 1. and number one in the entire NBA, as I said, with a 2-game lead over the Cleveland Cavaliers, who've been the leaders largely for the large part of the entire NBA season as a number one overall or number one best record in the NBA. Oklahoma City sitting at 58-12 with a 12.5 game lead over anybody else. You know what I mean? Like literally, they'd have to lose every single game, you know what I mean, coming up here. And I think they would probably still, even if they dropped every other game, that's 70 games, they could drop the next 12 games and they'd still have a half game lead over anybody else in the West. They still win the West. They could lose every game moving forward and still win the West. Isn't that crazy? Every single game and they still win the West. Houston sitting at number 2. Denver sitting 2 games behind Houston at 44-27. The Lakers 43-27, half game outside of the number 3 seed, but they're sitting at 4. Memphis at 5 with an almost identical record to the Lakers. They're a half game behind the Lakers right now. And then there's Golden State at number 6, who sits 2 games outside of 5. So still within striking range. I just laid out 12 games that the Lakers still have. 12 games, just about relative. 11 games left for Golden State, according to this graphic here. And so there's still time for some jockeying, like a whole lot of jockeying to take place in this 2 through 8. 2 through 8 in this league can still be shifted in such a dramatic fashion that the teams that presently sit at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 swap places with some of these guys 7 through 8 in that play-in situation if they're not careful. The Clippers sit at 40-30 presently in the 7th seed. 8 seed presently is at 41-31 is the Minnesota Timberwolves rather. Sacramento, the new look Sacramento Kings, who basically have, you know what I mean, like the players that were with the Bulls largely for the last few seasons that couldn't really get it done. They're looking really good. They're looking decent out in Sacramento. Still alive, obviously, and making noise at the number 9 seed right now. And Phoenix finally, with an identical record with the Dallas Mavericks, severely injured and may have to forfeit some games. Dallas Mavericks, an identical record. I said that that game against the Lakers and Portland isn't necessarily a guaranteed like throwaway game for them because Portland isn't mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet. They literally sit just 2 games behind Dallas and Phoenix for that final play-in spot. So with literally that's 11 games left for Portland as well. With 11 games left for Portland as well, they string together a good 8-game winning streak, 7-game winning streak, depending on how the other teams, like win, loss, play out for them. Portland could find themselves in the play-in, bro. All of that to say, Lakers fans, y'all feeling confident right now? How confident are you feeling right now? Just in reality, based on the things that I've laid out. Because I don't think that anybody has any space to be resting on their laurels like, man, we're all good. Everything's going to be okay. A game like the game against the Bulls last night, the Lakers could ill afford to lose. Cannot afford to lose any of these games down the stretch now. None of them. Nobody can afford to lose a game that they should win. But the reality is, man, we're in an NBA, National Basketball Association, full of professional basketball players, as the Bulls were and are. And that's why the Lakers got the shit beat out of them last night, because you're playing against professional basketball players. Speaking of professional basketball players, after a 17-point outburst just the game prior, Bronny only had 2 points. I'm not beating Bronny up. I'm just saying. He only had 2 points last night, 0 for 4 from the field. But his daddy dropped the Bronny. So I guess LeBron returns, drops a Bronny, 17. And the Lakers lose. Bronny drops a Bronny, and the Lakers lose. Man, you know what? Maybe I'm being disrespectful. Maybe, just maybe, man, Bronny should be considered an all-time great for that 17-point performance, because Bron's an all-time great, right? Yeah, that sounds ridiculous. That's how ridiculous you guys sound. What's most of your bullshit? It drives me crazy. Mainstream media and indie media people, bro. Keep it real. Let's keep it real. Let's just let a thing be a thing without over dramatizing it and over inflating it and making something out of nothing. That's literally the basis of this episode, man. I just wanted to put those things into perspective. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next video. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, man. I look forward to the next time I see you guys. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.